We should be live now.
Delightful.
Not quite shut up just yet. There we are. We're live.
Do we have a link that we can shill around?
I already showed it in your Discord.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. For Zoom.
That's where you were sharing it, right?
Yeah.
Where you were going to?
Where I was, yeah.
Yeah. I could also do on the quartering content promotion. Boom. There we go.
Fantastic.
So, how was your vacation?
My vacation. Sorry for I guess not sure. What are you talking about? My vacation. I'm lost. That's how good my vacation
was.
was.
We didn't have the show last week.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
oh my God!
I said, I wasn't completely prepped for it.
No.
And honestly, one thing that really screwed with my head today, I thought I had an exam and then a quiz.
Right.
Yesterday I had my exam, and today I thought I could have swore I was gonna have my lab quiz. Thought I had it in my calendar today. I wake up and I go to log in, and I'm like, "What? Where's the quiz?" Because it won't show up if it's not time. You only have a 15-minute window.
Oh no.
So I look at my calendar again. I'm like, "Wait, I don't have a fucking quiz this week. What the hell?"
Huh. So everybody has to take this quiz at the same 15-minute window, huh?
Well, you have to log in and start the quiz within that same 15-minute window.
Oh, okay.
So, the only downside to me not having that quiz is I prepared for it, so I'll just be extra prepared when I actually have it.
Okay. Excellent.
So, one thing that's been driving me up a wall is Section 230. Like, it really needs fixed up. What the hell's up with that shit?
Well,
Bill Barr put forth this little Band-Aid. This source thinks is a bad Band-Aid.
Yeah. Well, look, the important thing to remember is that if we don't change anything, it allows the tech wizards that run all these social networking sites to keep us safe. And that's the important thing. And so, look, if you put any of these pesky regulations on this, what's going to happen is it's going to allow, internet Nazi ninjas to be able to run around and troll us with their memes. They're just going to boom, Pepe, boom. Oh. What are you going to do?
And who likes to have a
Wonka?
big?
It's right there. What are you going to do?
Who likes to have a big green Pepe in your face?
Right, exactly. Literally a frog. And it's green and has some kind of a facial expression. Probably sad. But the important thing is that if they don't have restrictions, then they can remove the inappropriate but quite dank Pepes from the internet. And then that keeps us safe, so we don't get triggered by that. And this is in no sense a violation of the 1996 freedom of the internet whatever law, where they were trying to create an open platform for people to express ideas. You can have unaccountable, zero transparency edits and curation of content without it crossing the line into publishing. You're promoting content you like. You are censoring content you don't like. You're making advertising deals. All that kind of stuff. You're in fact even making deals to the extent that you're promising to promote given content for money. But none of this violates the 1996 Section 230 concept of a platform, because because we're totally not publishers, even if we're editing the content. Now, of course, the original context, which was it was CompuServe. It was like literally. That's how old this shit is. This law goes back to a legal dispute with CompuServe.
I don't even remember who CompuServe is.
Like,
name sounds a little familiar.
CompuServe was like the Pepsi to AOL's Coca-Cola.
Oh, okay.
It was the same thing. And so they had some chat rooms on CompuServe. You dial into this thing, and you could talk to people, and some people said mean things about other people. And then those people sued CompuServe. This is back in the 90s. They sued them for defamation because the people were saying mean things about them in dial-up CompuServe. And Congress said, it doesn't seem like anybody's really moderating this thing. And it would be if we passed a law saying that CompuServe or whatever was liable for this, they'd just turn it off, and then we wouldn't even be able to have it. So the notion here is this is basically kind of a little Wild West space here. People can do what they want, and you can, if you want, you can sue the other guy who said the bad thing, but you can't sue CompuServe. That's not their fault. And so they carved out this thing, Section 230 immunity. Now, of course, zoom along, put on your propeller beanies, spin it really fast. We're about to go on a journey through time. We're now in the amazing world of 2020. I know. Zombies rule the earth. It's incredible. And
you're not too far off.
And so now we've got AI fucking computer algorithms using machine learning to curate content. We've got banks of Amazon, Twitter, and Facebook 50 centers. That's it's a CCP reference, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. 50 Cent Army.
Yeah. So they've all got their own little corporate 50 Cent army of people that are curating all the content. And on top of that, they've got deals mostly with media companies. So like, CNN or even Fox News or whatever, right? If they want to talk about something, they will pay an additional little fee to YouTube, and they'll get their content promoted. It'll get popped up a little bit. And also, YouTube is actively interested in promoting them on the basis that they feel it makes content on their platform
a bit more official,
a little less weird.
Yeah.
It's a little more conventional, and they from a business standpoint, I guess they are just more comfortable with that because they are, as with anything, ruled by boomers, and they're more comfortable with the New York Times offering their opinion than some crazy son of a bitch called Razor Fist or what have you. Even if one of them is a legitimate YouTube presence and the other really isn't. Thank you so much, Blue Raven.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of weird.
Uh-huh.
One thing though in this article that really grabbed my attention was where is it? Facebook and Twitter have an anti-conservative bias and unlawfully stifle right-wing content.
Yeah.
These assertions of bias are not supported by any evidence to date.
Well, sure. Sure.
You gotta love that shit.
Well, no, see, and this is every internet argument you've ever had in your life, where you say something, and they say there's no evidence that water is wet. Done. And you'll I don't know, go to Wikipedia because that just is very easy. I mean, you don't even know why you're having this argument, but you're slowly kind of getting pulled down the rabbit hole. And you're chasing the fucking white rabbit, and things are getting larger, smaller. There's a fucking caterpillar blowing smoke in your face, and you're getting asked these fucking weird questions. And you're like, I'll just go to Wikipedia. So surely that can just resolve this madness. And then immediately they're like, of course, Wikipedia. That is not a viable source for anything. It's like, would you accept Encyclopedia Britannica? And they're like, of course not. And you're like, I don't, what do you want? And so it's one of these weird things where, so people say there's no evidence. You could very easily show evidence for a lot of things, and you do all the time, and then they'll say, well, I'm not accepting that arbitrarily. And it creates a situation where literally you can't prove anything is ever true, ever, because they'll just be like, well, that disagrees with me, so I don't accept that. That's not how evidence works.
Yeah. But it's even harder in this day and age with everything that's going on. Like I just had someone respond to something I said about Ahmaud Arbery, where they shared an article saying that they actually hit Ahmaud with their truck before they got out. And I said, well, I don't see any real evidence here. It's just he says, she says in this article. If I see some video evidence, sure. But the only video evidence I have seen is they get out of the truck. Ahmaud charges at the guy with the shotgun, punches him a few times, and then gets shot.
Yeah. No, it's on a level. It's confusing. It sometimes makes you frustrated.
Very.
But at a certain point, you just kind of roll with it. You just kind of go,
yeah, but
okay.
Essentially, what I said though was, if that did happen, where they hit him with the car first, sure, then they deserve to go to prison for murder because they started it.
Sure.
But there's no evidence, and evidence is hard to come by, and it's hard to verify in this day and age.
Well, not in my witch trial, it isn't.
Of course not. Your witch trial requires no evidence.
If I have fervent faith that you have sex with the devil, and you're not going to question that, I have apparently, recurring strong fantasies about this happening all the time. But these are visions, and on that basis, I'm going to scream at you, and you'll be burned at the stake because for whatever reason I'm into demon porn.
By the way, Raven's arguing your water is wet in chat.
Water is only wet when more than one particle, as the definition of wet, is surrounded by water or another liquid. Yeah, exactly. You know what? That is straight up a Snopes fact check. That is a Snopes fact check. Have you been seeing their goddamn fact checks lately? Someone will say, Dave punched a cat, and Snopes will say, oh, well, we've looked at the video evidence, and really what this was an open hand slap that caused the cat to fly across the room and slam into a wall and then die. Technically not a punch, so we're going to rate that as false. And it's like,
my absolute favorite Snopes was Trump claims Trump claims that he did more in his 47 months in office than Biden did in 47 years as a politician.
Yeah.
We find that to be false because Trump was only a president for 46 months.
Yep.
That's the best one.
Okay, I would like to get a fallacy added to the list of informal fallacies. I've cited this before. I refer to this as argumentum ad autism.
It really is it, yeah.
Yeah, it's to argue from the position of autism, and it's like one of these situations. Like, let's say you've got and it's perfect for it because when people say something's autistic, they don't mean you're literally autistic. They mean you're basically being myopic, and that is you have a very narrow perspective on something where you're focusing on something that doesn't really matter, and ignoring the bigger picture. And so, like, if I say the forest is on fire, and then somebody gets their face and they 1 inch from a given tree, and they look at it and they say, this tree is not on fire, therefore you're wrong. And you're like, there could be a tree on fire 2 feet from this moron. And he's like, nope, forest not on fire because this tree is part of the forest and it is not on fire. Get out.
It's infuriating. It really is.
Well,
Especially when people try to use these as sources too.
I don't know. It's so common. I don't know if it's even dishonest. I mean, because I know in some cases they're just full of shit, but in some cases, I think they're serious. And then, okay, so if you're not, either A, you are autistic. I'm just talking to autistic people, which is possible. But the other possibility is maybe there's some kind of an environmental induced autism. You know how there's the whole like conspiracy theory about vaccines causing autism? I don't believe that, but I think maybe there's something in contemporary culture, something we're doing that is just making people autistic. I don't know what it is. Does the internet make people autistic? Like if you're alone,
if I were to blame one thing, it would probably be Marxist indoctrination in the schools.
you think?
That would be my guess. I'm not
Look,
100 on that. I have no evidence on that. I would just assume that.
I
It's the only thing that makes sense to me.
I have this red-faced guy in the corner of my mind who like is always comfortable with that idea, but I have to control him. Otherwise, you know, I will become him. I have to watch that. But there's like other options. Like, is it the Adderall? You know, is giving methamphetamines to 12-year-olds making them grow up to be autists? I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm spitballing here. I'm throwing spaghetti against the wall. I don't know.
That could have something to do with it. And I'm not even
It's
saying the
changing. It has to
Marxist
change brain chemistry,
indoctrination
right?
is a definite thing. But yeah, I do 100% know for a fact that methamphetamine was over prescribed to children, at least in my generation.
Yeah, well, mine. I'm same boat. The
My kid's hyper. Here, give him some meth.
yeah, that's responsible as an adult.
Right?
Look, it worked out for Hitler, right? Oh wait.
You mean for his armies? The chocolate?
Oh no, they were injecting him.
Oh.
Yeah, they also gave it. I think were giving it to JFK as well.
They were giving it to the Nazi soldiers in chocolate bars.
That's pretty amazing. No, I think he was getting a meth injection every morning. So like Hitler is like laying in his bed, all kinds of tired and whatever, right? And then the doctor comes in, gives him his coffee, air quote, and and then De Fuhrer is bouncing around for the rest of the day, making good decisions.
That would explain the speeches.
I mean, yeah, he does sound insane in literally all of his speeches.
He is a firebrand in all of his speeches, like straight up energetic as hell. Like meth would completely explain that.
I mean, I could just see like the LAPD coming up behind him and just tasing him. Sir, you need to calm the hell down, or you're going to be arrested.
I actually saw a video today. I didn't share it in your Discord. I should have. Come on, get this just right. You bastard. It was. I can't get just a sliver. There we go. Perfect.
I don't know. So what are other causes of autism? So like another thing that might be causing autism maybe is everyone's spending a shitload of time on social media and they're not getting properly socialized by other human beings. And so I don't know. They're like getting socialized by a computer, and computers are hilariously autistic.
Yeah, and on top of that, all the cockpit syndrome they have when they interact with people, because it doesn't click that those are actually people on the other side.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm throwing. Okay. So feckless politicians who try to sound as robotic as possible because that's civilized. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about the entire Bush dynasty. Wouldn't be prudent. Yeah.
Raven says, I don't know if meth would make you less hyper. It actually does if you really genuinely have ADHD.
I don't know.
Well, that's what they say. And that's what I've kind of witnessed. It has an inverse effect.
Well, how how do I stimulate somebody? Let's say I wanted to administer medically a stimulant to somebody with ADHD. Is that impossible? Because I'm pretty sure if I give them booze, that's not going to be a stimulant.
No, booze would be a depressant.
Well, yeah, but if we're in fucking opposite land. So how do I stimulate somebody with ADHD? Is it impossible? Or is just meth the only stimulant that doesn't work?
Okay. So you're talking like
I'm saying if I want to stimulate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that center of their brain is fucked up to begin with, and
Hot.
I don't know if there would be a way. Maybe
No.
adrenaline.
Well, I would hope, but yeah, I don't know. Okay. So for those that are unfamiliar, I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm having an increasing kind of just like I'm increasingly kind of curious about Scientology. I'm not becoming a Scientologist, but I'm curious.
He's just on step one to becoming a Scientologist.
Yeah, I'm just I'm a little interested because one of the things I like about science is they have a distrust of contemporary psychology, and it's just a single point of agreement there. Because you hear psychologists say blah 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 subconscious. It's like, is there any evidence for any of this? Tell me, Professor X, how did you make this happen? And they're like, oh well, this German philosopher came up with this idea. It's like that's the worst. That's the worst evidence for anything.
You mean the German philosopher that said you have ghosts in your blood? You should do cocaine about it.
Oh no, this one's okay. He's not German. He's Austrian. Get out. Get out. Oh.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm skeptical of psychology.
Yeah, no, I'm horrendously skeptical of psychology. I actually came up with a test if I ever actually needed therapy to determine if the therapist was any good. Go in under the guise of having gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
And see how quickly they're like, yeah, we need to get you on hormones and get your penis inverted.
Nice.
If it's really fucking quick, you want a different therapist.
Okay.
That's like my litmus test right there.
Yeah, this may not be your friend. Idea 1, let's cut off your penis.
Yeah. I just came in because I was depressed. Could you imagine that?
That kind of sounds like a Monty Python bit.
It really does.
I don't know. Do you guys remember the argument clinic? So Eric Idle, I think is the name of the actor, goes into one of the rooms. He's paid to have an argument, and he goes into the first room, and the guy just immediately starts cussing him out, and he's like, "Whoa, I paid for an argument," and the other guy's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is abuse. You want an argument? That's a couple rooms down." He gives the correct directions, and Eric Idle's like, oh, "Okay, thank you. Sorry for coming in the wrong room," and the guy who was hurling invective at him 2 seconds prior is like, "Oh yeah, no problem." And then he closes the door, and the guy's like, "Wanker." And he goes down, and it's like John Cleese is ultimately where he goes for an argument. But yeah, like if you go in for therapy, right, and you sign up for that, maybe you went into the wrong room, and they're like, "Yeah, so we're gonna cut off your dick, and it's gonna be all this other stuff," and it's like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound like therapy. You're like, oh no, this is medical malpractice. I'm sorry. Yeah, so no, therapy is 2 doors down. You missed it. It's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that really, really does sound like a Monty Python skit. What else I think sounds like a Monty Python skit? Not really, but we're segueing. Is the amount of problems with voting in this election.
Oh, yeah.
Close to 18,000 ballots rejected in the Massachusetts primary.
What? Okay, but when has an election ever come down to 18,000 votes?
Well, sure. All right. Probably.
I'm sorry. You didn't read the sarcasm? That happens all the time.
Probably in Massachusetts.
It happens all the time. No, hilarious. I was talking to a buddy of mine who lives in Louisiana, and we were looking at some of the judges that are presiding in Baton Rouge. And he's a lot of people are not comfortable voting for judges. They're like they see them on the ballot and they're like, I have no idea who this motherfucker is.
Mhm.
And I showed him how you can look it up on the internet and you can find out who they are and kind of get a read on which way to go. I'm not saying you're going to find somebody you necessarily like, but in any election, it's going to come down to option A or
Who do you
option
like
B.
the most, or who do you dislike the least?
Yeah, I mean, which flavor of shit sandwich do you prefer? And so we were looking at that, and there's a judge in Baton Rouge, and she, I believe, won the last election by 25 votes. And that's not that uncommon. It really isn't. I mean, when it comes to like president or something, the numbers tend to not be that tight. But particularly for the little things, city commissioner and this or that ballot initiative or whatever, that can come down to something really, really tight, and that's important. That changes how your state functions, how your city works. Look at what's gone on in Portland with all the craziness with Antifa. Well, what has facilitated that to a large extent is that the district attorney in Portland is a complete nutbag.
Yeah, isn't doing shit. The district attorney is Antifa.
Yeah, so
would be my guess. Allegedly.
I don't know how many votes that district attorney got his seat by, but it probably would surprise you that it wasn't that many. So 18,000 ballots in Massachusetts. Think about what that could fuck up. There's a whole bunch of people. What that guarantees, right there, what that number guarantees straight up, is there are a huge number of people in Massachusetts who are going to win or lose that shouldn't have.
Yeah,
guaranteed. In all those little tight elections, any of the outcomes in the election that are less than 18,000, and there are going to be a shitload of them. It's going to be, I mean, obviously that's statewide. So I mean, the local ones, there's other things, but still, it's going to a whole bunch of people that shouldn't have won will, and vice versa.
Yeah. And this whole mail-in ballot fiasco is going to be just rife with inaccuracies. I want to say fraud, but I can't guarantee fraud. I can guarantee inaccuracies.
It's impossible politically, but we should already do a do-over. Like right now, just everything they've already done, just stop, reset.
Yeah. I mean, especially when the top people that everyone seems to respect goes, yeah, it's completely safe and fine to vote in person like we normally do. Just social distance and wear masks.
No, it's a complete shit show. And
it really is.
And here's the other thing that's so difficult with this is that people have been pushing for voter ID for ages.
Mm-hmm.
And that's taken to be, some kind of voter suppression, some fucking how. But the utility of it in this context is that if we knew who had submitted a ballot, now I haven't even counted, I haven't tabulated your ballot, but I have an envelope from you, and it's got some ID information on there. I can contact you. And I can let you know, sir, your ballot has been rejected. You can either go to the polling station on election day or resubmit another absentee ballot if you would prefer. Something like that. But as it stands, those 18,000 ballots that have been cast there, I don't think any of the people that cast those ballots are going to be notified. And they will not be able to vote again such that they're counted once. I mean, it's 18,000 people that have just got disenfranchised from the vote, theoretically, right there.
And this is why when I vote, I'm going to do it in person.
Oh, shit. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
But, I mean, especially considering who I'm going to vote for and the fact that in my state alone, they've already found 9 ballots just in the trash for Trump.
There's been a lot of shenanigans out of Philadelphia.
Oh yes, that's actually
I think I
boom,
gave you some
right
stuff
there.
on Philadelphia. Yeah. Yeah, this is nothing to see here, folks. Move along.
Yes, I am very certain these memory sticks were stolen.
Yeah. Memory sticks used to program Philly's voting machines were stolen from election where that's a very strange thing for anyone to steal, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Why would did they just want to, I don't know, have memory sticks? So a given memory stick is worth what if you sold it? Maybe each stick would be maybe worth $5.
I mean, I've got the technology we have is pretty fucking crazy. Right here on my keychain,
Uh-huh.
I've got 1 terabyte,
Uh-huh.
and that was like $20.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean the ones we're talking about for these machines are going to be like 250
Kilobytes.
megabyte, 250 like itty bitty. Because look, all that's on them, according to this, is it's the settings information
Mm-hmm.
for the machine. So you see all this crap that goes on to the screen where it says these judges, all these little buttons that are placed around here, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It would be a file that tells the machine, the touch screen, what to put up there and how to then key that in basically into a database that could then be kicked into the election commission.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thumb drive itself is going to be tiny. They're not going to have a terabyte to store all this nonsense.
Yeah.
It's going to be itty bitty.
And
So-
this is exactly why I'm pretty sure it was stolen. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Philly is very corrupt. They actually found not judges. Who was it? God damn it! It was like 2 years ago or something. They found someone who was officiating a polling station, and every chance he got, he went in and voted again
nice. Well,
for money.
sure, but I mean that doesn't matter because I mean obviously 18,000 votes don't matter.
Right.
So if he voted like an extra 10 times, I mean, what would that? Except for people win elections by like 5 votes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It matters. No, as they say, tongue in cheek, vote early, vote often.
I love that one meme. Man, it's really sad that not only did President Trump's brother die, but he's voting Biden too.
I like that's good. Yeah, we out in LA, we've had Mickey Mouse has been on our voting rolls more than a few times.
Of course he has.
So
Uh,
his
Mom
mom
got you a
has-
2 terabyte USB drive as a gift, but it was only 2 gigabyte.
Oh no.
Oh, damn. Well, speaking of shit shows,
Hmm.
you remember the Census Cowboy?
Oh my God! Can we have a comic book of this?
I'm gonna go ahead and
No,
play it. I
I'm,
actually have
I
two
am
clips
serious.
of this.
Like Image Comics or fucking Marvel or DC. Somebody, please make this into a comic book series. The Corona Destroyer or something. That's what you.
Which one is the Corona Destroyer? Is this the Corona Destroyer with her sidekick Gremlin?
The one on the left, I believe, is the mayor, and the one on the right is not.
Yes.
So I think the Corona Destroyer is the mayor.
No, I mean, the capes both say Rona Destroyer.
Do they?
Here, I'll go ahead and play it.
What's this Clorix?
It's on the back, though.
Nice. This is the mayor of Chicago, ladies and gentlemen. The Rona Destroyer.
Yep.
What's a Rona?
I don't
So
know.
guess what we're here to talk about today?
Well, cringe.
There's more.
No.
It's not just that.
He's handing out candy. The mayor is handing out candy while wearing a cape.
I am so glad I don't live here.
You know, Chicago used to be a respectable town. It was. It was a tough city. And
I mean, that's where Capone came from, wasn't it?
oh, all kinds. Look, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange is there. It's a serious place where some really important things happen. Like, so commodity distribution throughout the entire country is managed through Chicago. You know, the fact that you have potatoes, the fact that you've got beef, you've got coal, you've got iron, you've got, I mean, everything that goes through there. It's copper, everything. It goes to the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It's like think of it like the stock exchange, but for stuff.
All right, so I'm pretty sure we saw this part. Yeah.
Oof.
So just what we're here for today. You know,
Oh my
like,
Yeah.
how does someone like that get elected?
Oh, I don't know. Chicago. Here's my general sensibility regarding most American cities. I think a lot of them are too big, and I don't mean that in the sense of like too many people living on top of each other, but the city, like the borders of the city, go too far. Because what you have is you've got one part of town over here that has all the power, and you get another part of town over there where they're on fire and they're eating each other, and the part of town that has all the power basically can virtue signal and say, oh, well, you know, we should do this thing or that thing because that would be good for the people over here that are on fire, and it doesn't cost them anything.
I think it costs them a little bit because it's like, oh man, these guys over here keep murdering each other. I know how to fix this. The census cowboy.
Yeah, it doesn't. On the good end of Chicago, though, they don't care. You know, so Chicago has record murders happening right now. It's pretty bad. But the thing is that just like in any of our cities, the murders are concentrated in the bad end of town. So it's fucking Mogadishu over there. But you go over to the nice end of town and it's Mayberry. And they don't care. And so what I'm saying is draw a line between the place that's Mayberry and the place that's Mogadishu, and have each one of them be their own city. And that way Mayberry can make decisions that are right for Mayberry, and Mogadishu can make its own decisions. And
for it.
Well, right. So like the part of town that's bad, they're like saying defund it's like, okay, do it. Defund the police. That's fine. And you can do that. And then you can either, I don't know, gouge out each other's eyeballs with spoons or something. And Mayberry is not going to virtue signal, because you only virtue signal when it doesn't cost you anything. And, and if you constrain their political domain to their own neighborhoods, they're not going to burn their own neighborhoods to virtue signal. And you even see the same thing in Portland. So if you look at Portland, almost all the shenanigans has gone down in downtown Portland, but there's a big suburb around that, and that's where everyone actually lives. So you could burn downtown Portland down, and the people that are actually driving over there to do that, they don't care. You know, they get out of their mom's basement, they go out there, they burn downtown down, and then they go home and order a pizza. But if they were burning their own house down, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So just, you know, we saw this in LA. So I again, I'm from LA, and we've got a lot of little micro cities inside of Los Angeles. So we got like Beverly Hills and so on. And when BLM came to Beverly Hills, and they're like, we're going to burn Beverly Hills down. Well, Beverly PD wasn't having any of that shit. And they immediately slammed them. I mean, in fairness, generally speaking, LAPD, LA Sheriff's Department has not been putting up with BLM or Antifa.
Yeah, and you really got to respect that.
I do. I am a huge fan of teaching the police officers to get headshots with tear gas grenades. Just plink it right off the top of their forehead.
Well, and if someone wants to complain about that, say, well, how were they to know that that person wasn't pregnant? They were trying to save the baby.
I mean,
Because they
I,
did complain about a pregnant lady getting beanbagged during one of these riots in the belly.
Can you imagine being a pregnant woman and going to a violent protester and attacking a police officer with your baby belly out there?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I'm like, that sounds really irresponsible. And they were like, what? Pregnant ladies don't get their First Amendment rights? Because they were saying it was a peaceful protest that got beanbagged. Like,
Uh,
because, that happens. I mean,
that is
maybe, but, but,
yeah, in Russia. In Russia,
but I said, no, she still has her First Amendment right. And I'm pretty certain I can legally go around licking doorknobs and then disinfecting them immediately after. But if I get sick from doing that, who are you going to blame?
yeah, exactly. No, I mean, it's like, do pregnant women have a right to compete in professional Indianapolis 500 racing? Is that not a right that they have?
Um,
You know,
that would be a
or
privilege.
Formula One if you prefer.
That would be a privilege because not everyone can do that. It's not
Are you saying she can't do
right.
it? Wow, discrimination.
Well,
And
I mean,
if she miscarried or whatever, after her Formula One car did like a triple fucking backflip and
we got to yell at
exploded,
Formula One.
yeah, then everyone's gonna be like, "Well, how dare you suggest that she had a miscarriage because of that? You know, she could have had a miscarriage for any reason. She has to limit her life because she has a child." It's like, yes, you do, because you're fragile. It's how it works. I'm sorry,
Well, not
I didn't
even
invent
that
this.
she's fragile, but that the fetus is fragile. And
Well,
if you really don't want that fetus that badly, abortions are legal.
well, yeah, but it's we all have to deal with physical reality. I mean, I'm not. I didn't sit here and go, we should cause problems for women and make it so when they have kids, they have to limit what they do in their lives, or else it'll cause problems to the baby. I didn't sit there and do that. But
Exactly.
it's a biological fucking reality. And if you want to Darwin Award your way through this particular discussion, then I don't know. Have people slam baseball bats into your belly. It's have at it. We're not going to see you in the next generation. Salute.
Or they will, and it'll be worse. Like that one lady, fuck, what was it, New York, I think it was?
Yeah.
The one restaurant was getting sued because the lady was obviously pregnant. She was talking about being pregnant, and the waitress kept giving her virgin drinks.
All right. Yeah, and she's like,
Ridiculous.
"Excuse me, you're preventing me from giving my child fetal alcohol syndrome."
Right? Like, how not only are you doing that to your unborn child, but you're also putting that guilt and weight on this other person's shoulders that there is no reason to do that. None whatsoever.
That would be rough. Can you imagine being like a waiter or waitress, bartender, whatever, and you've got this late term pregnancy chick who's just like, "Yeah, can you give me another hurricane or something? I mean, whatever. Just like it's an entire bottle of vodka, please." You're like, I'm no.
That's a really bad idea.
Yeah, I quit. I'm out.
Yeah, and that would be the only option you have because, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was New York. They deemed it that you legally had to serve that person if they wanted it because they were of legal age.
Right.
I kind of feel like they should have ruled it as, equivalent to serving someone underage
Yeah.
because technically you are.
That's true. I think we've also undermined the whole right to refuse service to anyone thing, which got ripped apart mostly, I think, during the whole civil rights thing, because there were some jackholes that were using that to not serve the black people.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, as a consequence, we now can't kick assholes out of our bars. It's like, you realize that the asshole now is hiding behind the black guy who doesn't want to get discriminated for his race.
Yeah.
But we have a problem with this. So I mean, what you might do with the chick who's like, I give me another drink, is you'd say, leave the bar, get out.
Which that would be the responsible thing. Like if she really wants to drink that badly, go to the liquor store, buy some liquor, and take it home.
Yeah. No, but I think the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you're not putting that weight on anyone else's conscience. You're doing it to yourself and your future spawn. But if you're gonna do that, like, what the fuck is wrong with you to begin with? But that seems like the best way of going about it to prevent unnecessary guilt.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's also arguably a freedom of association thing going on here, where it's like the whole gay cake thing, where they're saying, oh yeah, no, you've got to bake the gay cake. And it's like, no. Like, what if I don't want to work for somebody, if I don't want to do a given job for somebody, I really shouldn't have to do it. And you could say, like, well, I disagree with your reason for saying no, but just let people make their own decisions.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we're gonna agree with their decisions, but don't they have the right to say, no, I don't want to do business with you? It seems fair.
Raven says ordering vodka at almost 9 months and getting mad at the waiter is like stopping a game download at 90%, playing it, and then blaming the devs for the bugs.
Yeah. Well, yes. If the kid comes out has the fetal alcohol syndrome, and then I don't know, you blame the doctor.
Yeah. Speaking of blame, here are some of the parents of the Parkland shooting.
I didn't watch this. This looks so cringy.
Yeah.
How do what are they doing? Like deep faking their son back to life?
Yep.
That is why. Like, that seems like some Babylon fucking B shit.
Well, their whole point is to urge to not to vote for someone who's going to restrict firearm ownership.
Wow.
Which, in their defense, I can see why going through that you might consider that, even though it would have even more adverse effects. But like, to go to this degree, I'm gonna play it.
I am Patricia Oliver, and this is my husband Manuel. 2 years ago, our beautiful son Joaquin was shot and killed at Parkland. Every day I think about him and what his last moments must have been like.
Meanwhile, every day, nearly 100 more families lose someone they love to gun violence. Every single day, we keep telling people it doesn't have to be like this. They don't listen. So we found a way to bring back someone that no one will ignore.
It's very hard for me to look at this. So please.
No, it's really hard for all of us to look at this.
What
Yes.
our son has to say.
This is very painful. I mean, this is a kid that was killed. That's very sad.
Mm-hmm.
But using deepfake to like bring back a digital puppet of your son.
Yo,
It's disgusting.
it's me. It's Guac. I've been gone for 2 years and nothing's changed, bro. People are still.
What change do you want?
What is that? Everyone knows
To get rid
it,
of
but they
people
don't
owning
do
guns.
anything. I'm tired of waiting for someone to fix it. The election in November is the first one I could have voted in, but I'll never get to choose the kind of world I wanted to live in. So you've got to replace my vote. Go to unfinishedvotes.com, register, then go vote. Vote for politicians who care more about people's lives than the gun lobby's money. Vote for people not getting shot, bro. I mean,
So the gun lobby's money. I mean, What this is an attempt to do here is to dehumanize
Fighting.
all the people
We got to end
that
this.
support, let's say, the NRA or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are all people,
Yeah.
and they're trying to turn them into like a caricature of like some soulless money grabbing corporation. And the
like
thing is
some
that-
kind of Captain Planet villain.
yeah, Horace Greeley. I
Yeah.
believe that was one of the Captain Planet villains. Oh, and another one was Loot and Plunder. His name was Loot and Plunder. That's not even a name. It's not even a name. Loot is not a name. I'd accept Luke and Plunder. Kind of that gets closer, but no, that's gross. You got to deep fake your kid back and hand that off to an activist group. And what are they asking for? They want us to end the Second Amendment?
No, it was Hoggish Greedley.
Oh, was it Hoggish Greeley?
Yeah.
Okay. Hoggish, but Loot and Plunder was, I believe, another name.
Yeah. Here's old Hoggish Greedley.
That's I think that's a balanced impression of industries that happen to pollute. You think? They're like-
Luton. Looten.
Oh, are they? Oh, it wasn't loot. It wasn't loot. It was Luton. still.
Luton, but Luton.
Loot and plunder.
If they would have just made that a U, like that would have made sense.
No, it's not a name. Shut up.
It's not a name, but it would have made more sense than loot.
Yeah,
Like it is, you know.
I like that he's got like his cheetah trim on his jacket there. That's good.
Because you know, trophy hunting in Africa doesn't
Yeah.
help the other animals there,
Well,
or the people around them.
Well, here's the thing out there. People get all mad when some dude goes out there with a scoped rifle or whatever. But if you actually talk to the people living out there, these are people. This is their country,
Mm-hmm.
and you ask them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we all kill like a lion or some other animal." And it's they've got these rites of passage, which you could say maybe they shouldn't do that, but it's not our decision for one thing. It's their country. If you want to conquer them and make that the law, that's fine. But it's the law where they are that they can do that, and they've got religious things tied up with this. It's a whole deal, and so in and amongst that, if some guy wants to show up and he says, "Yeah, I'll give you $20,000 if I can shoot, name the animal," and then an animal conservationist and they're trying to pay for their own animal conservation programs, they don't have a lot of money. Some guy's going to give them 20 grand, which for them that spends a lot farther than you'd think.
Yeah.
And they then one of the animal conservationist guys, he finds an animal that he thinks, we can
He's a
shoot
bit
this
of an
one.
asshole.
We can kill this one. This is like an older lion. This is an older lion. He's going to die in a couple years anyway. And he's had a good life. And
this rhino has been causing all sorts of problems with these other rhinos, and
yeah,
no one's
and
accepting it. Yeah, we'll get rid of this one.
with the 20 grand, we can pay for protection for the animal preserve to keep poachers out and all that kind of stuff. And the poachers are going to kill way more animals than this one guy shooting an older animal that we've picked. So then what will happen is the guy gets taken out to the bush in a Jeep or something. He's got his rifle, and some guy with the hat with the one side turned up, dust going left and right, points out into the distance, and he's like, "That lion right there, you can shoot that one, not the one to the left, not the one to the right, that one." And guy pays 20 grand, looks at the scope, lines up, kapow, he's got a new amazing rug. There you go.
Mhm.
And the animal, these are not immortal creatures. Lions die.
Yeah.
They're gonna get lion cancer. It's gonna happen. They're gonna have to go lion old folks' homes. They're gonna forget their grandkids. It's gonna be a whole thing. They're gonna go. And so before they drop, is it a bad thing to have an old lion get turned into a rug? Who cares? I mean, it's that, or it's the bacteria is going to eat the goddamn skin away. Other animals are going to rip into the skin tearing the flesh. That's how it is out on the savannah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you can watch bears online eat deer asshole first.
yeah, right.
But
No, these
the
animals
thing
are not
is-
immortal.
The thing is with these trophy hunts, though, it at least incentivizes the local population to help conserve and prevent poaching because,
Yeah.
hey, motherfucker, you don't shoot my animals, that motherfucker's worth 20K a head, you know?
Absolutely. And again, the animals they tend to be they're shooting here. They tend to be older animals that are going to die soon anyway. So who cares?
Yeah, they've already spread their seed.
Yeah. So the preserve gets 20K cash American. Bam. Lion that was going to be dead in a couple of years drops today,
Gets a quick, painless death.
and then he gets a really awesome rug.
It's a win-win-win.
Oh, come on. Like, come on. Are you telling me you wouldn't imagine? Okay. Roaring fire, snowing outside, feet on lion rug.
Yeah.
Life is good.
And I mean, even in the shoes of the lion, like, I'd rather get taken out than die of old age in some nursing home, as a human
Right.
anyway.
Right. Exactly. Getting fed all those meds, elder abused by the old folks home. Yeah. Yeah.
So, to add to the firearm discussion, Kyle Rittenhouse is suing Biden.
Yeah. We'll see where that goes. They do have a case.
They definitely do. He's calling him white supremacist with absolutely zero evidence.
It's amazing how blatant they're being about this. They used to be. I want to think that they used to be a little more subtle about this, but they are increasingly becoming a meme.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. It's like that meme where you see Adolf Hitler in like some jammies flying on a magic carpet, and it says below it, "Everyone I don't like is literally Hitler," and it's like a child's guide to arguments on the internet or something. That's the meme, something like that.
Yeah.
And,
There are 3 good of those I've seen.
Yeah, and this is pretty much that. It's absurd.
I think my favorite is the Russian bot one.
Yeah,
Because I've gotten that one more than anything else.
me
So,
too.
Ever since I got that picture, I started sending that to people when they call me a Russian bot.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty amusing. They shut up immediately after.
Yeah.
Because, like, what can they say at that point?
Well, I mean, if you were a Russian bot, you would send that meme as well. So
Yeah.
it is the Kafka trap. You can't get out. They've dehumanized.
Oh, no
you.
matter what I would say, no matter
No.
how eloquently I
Yeah.
stitched together an argument about how I'm not a Russian bot, I could even send my social security number and a picture of my ID, and they would still say, you're a Russian bot.
Right.
There's
Right.
nothing
Well, no,
you
'cause-
can do to change their opinion because they're brainwashed. They're sheep.
Well, I don't know. The other thing that's really difficult with all this is there's an intolerance to compromise. You know, they talk about this how tolerant they are, but they're like the least tolerant people, because what you need to have a functional republic, which is what we've got. You have to have a tolerance for differences of opinion. We're not all going to agree all the time. This isn't goddamn kindergarten where everybody has to agree to the exact same thing. Fucking adults, intelligent adults, are going to come to different opinions. It happens. It's an understood quantity, but they're not willing to accept that. They're like, no. Everybody has to snap into line, or you're a heretic. And
White supremacists these days.
well, but that's what it means. It means heretic, because they just throw that out whenever anyone disagrees with them. And what I'm increasingly seeing this as is sort of the revenge of religion. So we had this this kind of collective circle jerk in the Western world post Enlightenment. We're like, oh, we've risen above religion. We're so enlightened. And I think in the 21st century, God is back, baby. God is back, and he's angry. And I think a lot of people are basically created like these new like pseudo religions out of their fucking politics, and it's dogma. You know, it's like this is what's in the book, so it's true. And you're like, okay, but your book is saying gravity isn't real, and you're like, oh well, you see, that's an illusion created by the evil pixies. Actually, gravity is not real. It's just the delusion of whatever. And it is this constant thing. You can't. There's nothing you can say. There's no evidence you can present. It's everything is part of their little menagerie. So
Yeah, I mean,
possible to have the conversation.
I'm not horribly religious, but whenever you see places that have done so much again, like just to spit in the face of God, and then like a little later, it looks like this.
Yeah,
It just it kind of makes me believe a little more, you know?
that does look like a bridge in hell.
It really does. I expect Doom Guy to go running across that and start punching some skeletons with rockets.
That's probably fair. No, yeah. So in California, on that line, they've been telling us it's climate change. It's climate change. That's our problem. And
that's exactly what they've been saying.
The temperature anomaly in Los Angeles. I can't speak to the rest of California, but the temperature anomaly in this is the amount that the temperature has gone up. In this case, since 1880, in the city of Los Angeles, is 0.5 degree centigrade. Now, 0.5 degree centigrade is in no way going to cause raging fucking firestorms.
No, it's not. I mean, it can 0.5 degree can have some pretty detrimental effects if you're talking about the internal temperature of a human body or the temperature of a lake.
Yeah.
But not out of water ambient air temperature.
Well, so the other thing that's going on is when the white man came to California, the area was known to be very smoky. It was, and the reason was because the indigenous peoples were continuously burning parts of the forests. They were doing controlled burns all the time.
Mm-hmm. Because they had to.
Yeah. And when the Spanish settlers came out, they continued that because it seemed sensible to them. And even after the American conquest of Mexico and absorbing these territories, the populations maintained the forests until relatively recently.
The eco-friendly policies.
Yeah. So one of the things that we used to do was we'd hire logging companies, or we'd sell a license for a logging company to go into a national or state forest. And the deal that they had was they could cut down any tree of such and such a type. So we'd give them like certain species of trees that they could cut. And they had to be above a certain height, and they couldn't be any farther apart from each other than than this or that. So like if a bunch of trees were super close to each other and they're of the appropriate type, they could chop down a certain number of those to thin that out a bit. And part of the price they had to pay for that. So in addition to cutting a check to the state of California, they also had to build roads which were usable by fire crews or whomever else. And they also would clear out the ground cover. So they'd kind of rake the forest out. And all that stuff together made the forest much, much, much more resistant to burns. And on top of that, we'd also have controlled burns ourselves on top of that. So that's what we used to do. Now, subsequently, we've decided that, well, you know, the lumber companies are, of course, run by Hoggish Greedley or whatever. And so they're all kicked out. So we've lost the check that the logging companies used to cut us. We've lost the jobs from the logging companies, which was a big deal for a lot of rural communities in California. And now the forests are basically totally unmanaged. And so they pile up all this brush, and it's worse than even that, because what we're doing is we go in there and we put out fires. But naturally, if you really want to just say, like, leave it alone, okay, then stop putting out the fires just entirely. And what'll happen is the forest will actually be healthier than what we have now. Because what will happen is you will have some fires, which might be nasty now and again, but they're going to start more often, and it's going to burn out the brush before it gets quite as heavy. So in some cases, we've got brush that's been building up for like 30 fucking years in some of these forests. Just ground cover. Just imagine all the leaves in your fucking yard piling up for 30 years. That's a lot of California's forests. And then, like, just trees just on top of trees, falling over on trees. And it's a giant goddamn tinderbox. And
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm waiting to show you this thing,
okay.
just to hear your reaction.
All right.
Because it is 100% on the topic, and
Yeah.
it fits the topic of the left can't meme.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
But
Right.
like that's exactly what you're saying, and it 100% makes sense. Clear out and manage the forest, and they won't can catch on fire
Well,
as easily.
okay, so you know how when you go near one of those big old propane tanks, there's a little sign around there that says, don't bring a cigarette or whatever around there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's because you need the three things to touch it off. You need the oxygen, you need the fuel, and you need the point of ignition.
Mm-hmm.
So of these three things, what can you control in a forest? Okay, so oxygen, can you control that?
No,
No.
definitely not.
No, that's in the atmosphere. We can't control that. Okay. Point of ignition. Can we control that? Not really, because the points of ignition, it could be like a fucking bottle that somebody threw into the forest or something, and then the light catches it just the right goddamn way, and then hooray. Or it could be a lightning strike, or it could be a bunch of fucking meth heads that go out into the forest, and after, fucking each other in the ass a few times, they decide, oh, I'm gonna cook myself a can of beans, and so they do something like that, and then because they're high and stupid, they kick it over into some brush, bam, and that's on fire now. I mean, there's a million different stupid things that are going to cause a fire, and you can't really control that either. I mean, you can limit it by saying, hey, reasonable people, please try to not do this. Sure, that's going to work on reasonable people. It is not going to work on anyone else. And it's not the reasonable people that are starting these fires anyway. To the extent it's coming from any human sources in the first place, which, a fair amount of it is, and it's mostly just crazy people that go out there and do stuff. But the only thing you could really control is the fuel. That's it. Okay, so we can't control the oxygen. We cannot control the point of ignition in the forest. These are two things. Really, we can't do anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
What we can do is the fuel. It's literally it. And if you tell me I can't do that, well, okay, amazing. I can't do anything then.
So California's gonna burn. Yeah, thanks. Good job.
Yep.
Speaking of environmentalism, did you happen to see this? This is one of my favorite parts of the debate.
Mr. Vice President answered his final question.
The final question is, I can't remember which of all his rantings.
I'm having a little trouble myself, but and about the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
The economy.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental changes will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you
We're going to
support
build
the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
You support that?
No, I don't support the Green
Oh,
New
you
Deal.
don't? Oh, well, that's a
You
big
let-
statement.
I
That
support
means you
the
just
Biden.
lost the radical left. Done.
I support
Oh, you
the
don't?
Biden plan that I put
The
forward.
Biden plan.
Okay.
The Biden plan,
Biden
which is
plan.
different than what he calls the radical.
Literally on his fucking website, it says Green New Deal.
President Trump, you nominated Amy.
Wait. You mean right here?
Yeah, right there.
JoeBiden.com/climate
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
Biden believes the Green New Deal is crucial framework.
Yeah. No, I mean that was what it was a difficult debate, and it was a complete shit show. I think Chris Wallace is vastly overrated. I don't know why everybody thinks Chris Wallace is amazing.
Wait, people think he was amazing. I honestly
A
don't
lot of
remember him
people
at
think
all
Chris
before
Wallace
the debate.
is like an amazing journalist or something, and I don't know why. He's got a very good stage presence. I'm not going to take that away from him, but that's not journalism. That's acting. You know,
My
if you
first
come on and you
experience-
sound like Morgan Freeman or something, that doesn't mean you're a good journalist. That means that you sound like Morgan Freeman. That's not
My
the
first
same thing.
experience with Chris Wallace was the debate, and I thought he did awful as a moderator.
Oh, it was pretty bad. No, the format was bad too, because anyone who went into that thinking that there wasn't going to be over talking and stuff is a retard.
Yeah,
So
100%.
So, that leaves me one of two conclusions. Either Chris Wallace is incompetent or complicit. And you could say, well, the campaigns agreed to it. And it's like, yeah, but they also have this notion that they have to accept something or it won't happen. So, like, if you gave Trump a bad deal in this context, I think he would have an issue was saying no sometimes because he'd be worried that Biden wouldn't debate again, and Trump sees debates as being in his interest to keep doing that, so he's going to want to keep doing them.
Yeah.
So it's and Biden feels obliged to go to them because he doesn't want to look weak. But ultimately I don't think Biden wants to do them. It's not like his voters give a fuck.
They really don't.
Yeah. So
they're going to vote for anyone that's not Donald Trump, and that is 100% the platform.
Yeah. No, look, and beyond Chris Wallace, I mean, to be fair, these televised debates are crap. They have been crap forever. The first problem with them is there seems to be this tendency to give the network that's hosting it the ability to ask questions, and that's inappropriate. What you should be providing as a debate moderator is merely moderation. You're not there to ask the questions. You're not there to set the agenda. You let the respective parties say what they want to say, and you just kind of control time. You say, look, you're going to talk for this long, and then this guy's going to talk for this long. And that's all I'm doing. I'm not going to tell you what you guys are going to talk about. So like Chris Wallace, he asked like 6 questions or whatever it was, 6 topics he had. Why, they weren't unreasonable questions, but I don't think he should have the right to even ask them. That's not just let Trump ask his question, whatever it is. Let Biden talk about what he wants to talk about. And I think that's the reasonable way to go at it. And,
I would agree the majority of the questions weren't unreasonable.
Well, here's one of the glaring omissions in the questions. 0 on foreign policy. Nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
And I would suspect that if you gave Trump the ability to set the questions, or at least some of them, he probably would have had because he had recently had a big foreign policy win with his stuff in the Middle East.
Oh yeah, and
so why not
I
talk
believe
about
he had a big hand in North and South Korea talking about peace.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you're talking with the Kims, it's always a little bit like building sandcastles, unfortunately. So I don't know if we've actually accomplished anything with that. But you could certainly talk about China. is another foreign policy thing, and that's a huge fucking weakness for Biden, because Biden was sucking China's dick early on in the campaign, and more recently that was actually one of the things that was really fascinating in the debate watching it. Biden was anti-China. I believe he said "Buy American first" or something like that. That is not early campaign Biden. That's 180 degrees he went on that. And I think he was saying some anti-China stuff too. So that's a big move. Previously, he was China. They're just a bunch of cuddly teddy bears.
Yeah, I mean, well, in his defense early on, Biden was 100% just what Orange Man says. I'm the opposite.
I don't know. Given the financial entanglements that the Biden family has with China, I think there's an argument for a financial conflict of interest there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So he might be disinclined to shit on his sugar daddy.
And
That's,
yet he
that's kinda
did.
where yeah.
But I mean, given Biden's track record, though, he'll use the position to gain whatever benefits he can. Just, oh, your son, you're a Biden? All right, well, then you get a job at an energy company. Oh, well, you don't have experience. That doesn't matter.
Right. Well, yeah, we're going to give you millions of dollars, boom, into your bank account right there. Yeah, no, it's if the identities were reversed, if Donald Trump had done the things that Biden had done,
they would have impeached him over it.
The Democrats would be howling for his blood for this. And of course they're not, because they have no principles.
Yeah, because it's their guy. If Democrats didn't have double standards, they would have no standards at all.
Yeah. Well, I want to hold out something that's redeemable, but it's getting harder.
I mean, I don't know how the Democrats have been necessarily in the past. I just got into politics about the first year of Trump's presidency, and that's when I started paying attention. And everything I see, if you want to know what a Democrat is doing, look at what they're accusing everyone else of doing. And that 9 chances out of 10 will tell you exactly what they are doing.
They go, I think, in phases. And sometimes they're going soft and sometimes they're going hard. And I think the last time they went real hard was in the 1960s. And then they went hard again in the 30s. And since, the 70s and into the 80s, since in sort of, we went to like the 70s, 80s, 90s, that zone right there, they were pretty chill. And I think they've been getting increasingly hysterical ever since. The you've heard of Trump derangement syndrome?
Oh yeah, well, for sure. And I've witnessed it.
Well, yeah, sure, but that's just a repackaging of what we used to call Bush derangement syndrome, where so you're familiar with all the like the 9/11 truth stuff. Yeah. Well, that started out basically as a way of attacking George Bush, because one of the things he did was he was standing on top of 9/11, the rubble of 9/11, and he's saying we're going to go get those terrorists, and that was politically threatening to the Democrats, because it was a unifying moment in America politically. Everybody was kind of in the same place with that. This was unacceptable, and we need to go out there and avenge ourselves. And so to kind of take the air out of that position, they were suggesting that George W. Bush had killed those people himself, or had been part of some sort of secret government cabal that had killed 3,000 Americans in New York. And so of course, you heard that at the time, you're like, okay, you are clearly insane.
Yeah.
And that is that's when this sort of shit started, from what I can tell. That like this wave of madness, it's been building since the George W. Bush administration, and they just kind of move from one crazy fucking conspiracy theory to the next.
I could see it. And they
Yes,
do have a
Blue
big,
Raven. They were serious. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. They're like all sorts of conspiracy theories about it.
Yep.
Documentaries and
There are
shit.
still
Yeah.
people pushing it to this day.
Yeah. One of the big ones that, had quite a few people questioning it was the jet fuel can't melt steel beams thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually saw a blacksmith explain this one. He said, all right, well, here's a steel rod, and he's got a steel rod, and he sticks it in the hole in the anvil, and he picks the anvil up with it, and the steel rod's got no bend, this big fucking heavy anvil, He sets it down, and he puts the steel rod on the anvil, and he douses it in jet fuel, lights it on fire for like a minute or so, and then puts it out, picks it up, puts it in the same hole, and as soon as he tries to pick it up, the steel beam bends, or the steel rod bends. It may not be enough to melt the steel beam, but it's enough to
spaghettify it.
Yeah, mess with the integrity of it.
Yeah. No, strangely, if these steel reinforced beams in a building turn into spaghetti, that has an impact on structural integrity. It's odd.
Yeah, it's real weird. I don't
should probably contact the Rice-A-Roni company and.
Yeah,
sure
I don't get it because
like
I can build stuff out of spaghetti just fine and it holds up.
especially cooked spaghetti. It's the best.
Like cooked spaghetti, they just try to throw stuff against the wall to see what sticks.
Absolutely. Well, no, and there was similar stuff. I don't think that there's a linear connection between these different groups, although I suspect with some of the older crackpots there probably is. They were pushing stuff for the assassination of JFK, suggesting that had been like Republicans that had killed JFK.
I mean, I don't necessarily know about Republicans. From what I heard, he was actually going after
a Marxist that killed him.
But I was told he was going after big pharma real hard shortly before that.
There are so many presidents go after all kinds of people all the time. Why hasn't Trump been shot? Right? He's gone after a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you look at the people who tend to shoot a president in the United States, it's invariably a crackpot. So, Oswald was basically a stupid communist who I think he went to Vietnam or something for a minute, and then he lived in the Soviet Union for a while, and they had him like building radios or something. And then he left there, and then he goes back to the United States and then shoots JFK. Soviets, of course, say we had nothing to do with it. I don't know. It's possible that he was just a crackpot. But and then you look at the guy that shot Reagan, Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
He was crazy. He thought there was an actress that he thought might love him.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster might love him if he shot Ronald Reagan. You go back in time. John Wilkes Booth killed Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's just a crank. There wasn't anything behind it. It was just some guy that was mad and does something. And God, I don't know the guy that tried to kill Andrew Jackson, but hilariously, this is the day before like revolvers and stuff. So you had to load each round in through the barrel. And he jumped out of a bush in front of Andrew Jackson with 2 loaded handguns and pulled both triggers at Andrew Jackson. They both misfired. And Andrew Jackson was like an old school man's man, and he had to hit his cane, and he just beat the fuck out of this guy with his stick. So he's just like walking around. This guy jumps out of a bush, misfire, right in his face. And Andrew Jackson just starts beating the fuck out of him with his stick. It's kind of funny.
Even if that happened, Trump could never get away with that.
Oh yeah, no. Hilariously, Reagan was giving a speech. I think it was in Berlin, and there was a backfire of a car that was heard in the middle of the speech, and it made everybody tense for a second because it sounded like a gunshot. And Reagan, without missing a beat, said, "You missed." The entire crowd laughed, and he went on with his speech.
Well, one thing that the left is really good at is redefining shit. And sometimes it is just a massive miss.
Yeah.
New guidance on AP style book online. Use care in deciding which term best applies. Riot is wild or violent disturbances of the peace involving a group of people. The term riot suggests uncontrolled chaos and pandemonium. Focusing on rioting and property destruction rather than underlying grievances such has been used in the past to stigmatize broad swaths of people protesting against lynching, police brutality, or for racial justice, going back to the urban uprisings of the 1960s. Unrest is a vaguer, milder, and less emotional term for the condition of angry, discontent, and protest verging on revolt. Protests and demonstrations refer to specific actions such as marches, sit-ins, rallies, or other actions meant to register dissent. They can be legal or illegal, organized or spontaneous, peaceful or violent, and involve any number of people. Revolt and uprising both suggest a broader political dimension or civil upheavals, a sustained period of protest or unrest against powerful groups or governing systems. Now, when you have...
I have a huge problem with this because what's wrong with just saying mostly peaceful protest? I think that one, what I like about that one is it's basically turned into Special Olympics in our minds.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Shakespeare line of "a rose by any other name," and you say mostly peaceful protest in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
We know that means riot, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You can't complain, and the AP style book, can they complain about me saying mostly peaceful protest?
Not as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off here. I go with mostly peaceful protest. I think that's a subversive win on that one because the progressives can't complain about it. It's a very nice term, but it also immediately conjures in the mind Antifa throwing fucking piss balloons at people and setting buildings on fire.
And reporters in front of burning buildings.
Well, yeah, possibly running away from crazy Antifa people throwing fucking bricks at them. Oh, I'm sorry, soup cans.
Yeah. So, like I said in our DMs, though, basically, in federal speaking, like federal agency speak, unrest means rioting and looting.
Yeah.
So they've basically taken the actual peaceful protests and went, you are now rioting as well.
Yeah. Well, how can they use actual legitimate peaceful protests as a human shield if they can't conflate the two? You see that out of radical Islam, right? Where they talk about children and civilians and all that kind of stuff that are getting a bomb dropped on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, yeah, but like there was like a weapons cache underneath the school. There was a military planning thing happening inside of the mosque. If you make a point of conflating yourself, if hostile groups make a point of conflating themselves with civilians, with innocents, with people that are not being violent, then it's inevitable that they're going to get caught up. And they do it on purpose because what they want to do is they want to hide behind those people. They want to force you into a situation where you've got to nuke both at the same time or nuke neither and let the insurgents do whatever they want. And
like the Walla Moms in Portland.
Yeah. So and so that's one of the things that was a big bomb drop that Barr put out there was blowing the dust off of the sedition laws. It's been a while since anyone's been charged with sedition. But Antifa would be very, very easy to charge with sedition, because all you got to do for that is basically attack or undermine agents of the United States government. That's it. So if your intent is to basically destabilize the government, that's sedition. Now, does Antifa check that box fucking every day? They sure do.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they're sitting back there going like, oh, well, you can't get me for treason. It's like, maybe. That's a difficult one. I can get you for sedition, though. And there's some relatively large penalties for that one. So it can that one can get nasty very quickly. But it's a question as to whether or not you can politically get away with actually charging somebody with that. But it's on the books. So you take somebody to court for that. The man in black is standing in front of you. You can't say it isn't the law.
Yeah. That's the big thing that pisses me off with Portland, though, is like the fact that you don't see these basement dwellers getting the hammer dropped on them for blatantly breaking the law.
Oh, no. Oh, hey, man. That was
that
was last month. It's happening now.
Is
No,
it?
no. It is. And they're really mad about it. So the mayor of Portland has recently asked the federal government to revoke the deputization granted by the U.S. federal government to the city police. Now, the effect of this is that the DA in Portland is basically completely fucking useless. Like, he might as well just be like playing Minesweeper and jerking off in his office now, because there's no cases. Anytime
I
a
feel
cop
like that's probably what he was doing when all these cases were coming across his desk to begin with.
I wish that's what he was doing, because what I think he was actually doing was seeing how best to destabilize his own country, his own community. And so so now what's happening is local street cops in Portland, they arrest you, they charge you with something, you're going to federal court every time. Now, they're probably not going to do that for like a traffic violation or something, like, because the feds don't care. But, you do something that's going to be relevant in the federal court. I don't know, you're assaulting people or what have you.
Throwing Molotovs.
Yeah. And here's the other fun one. If you attack a police officer, you just attacked a federal officer now in the context of a deputized. That's going to be fun. So you get to go in before a federal judge and go like, okay, so you attacked a federal officer, huh? That's unfortunate. So yeah, there's a lot of these guys, and beyond that, here's the other thing: they're not going to go to state penitentiaries if they get convicted.
Well, they're going to go to prison.
Federal prison.
Ooh.
Why would you go to? You got convicted in a federal court. You're not going to go to state prison. Federal prison.
You just got to imagine that for a second. They go from free living in their parents' basement while they play their little LARPing online to go LARP in person. Well, they role play online and then go LARP in person. And now they get to do the same thing in a federal prison with an increased sex life.
I have a movie idea. Okay, so I am very interested in saving Hollywood. I really want to save Hollywood. And here is an idea I have. Okay, just for your consideration. I'm just spitballing things. Con Air 2. Okay. And we'll bring back a couple of the old favorites from the first movie, just to kind of sprinkle in some nostalgia in there. But we're definitely going to have a couple of these Antifa twits that have found themselves wide-eyed and terrified on a fucking airplane, in a convict transport with, I don't know, a bunch of serial killers.
That movie never made any sense to me. Do they actually mass transport prisoners by plane?
I don't know, but I would imagine they would. If you're going to transfer a prisoner 1,000 miles, you're going to do that by bus or by plane?
Yeah, but why would they transfer? Well, I get it with like a couple,
like, look at, like,
but
the
an
Gitmo
entire
guys.
plane full.
Yeah. Look at all the Gitmo people, right? So you've got a whole bunch of terroristy people, and I think we've got a Supermax in Colorado, which is pretty fucking metal. And generally speaking, when we want to put somebody in a hole and throw away the key, they go to that place. It's basically 21st century Alcatraz, and so I would think you would put them on a plane. I mean, I don't know how many are going to go on the plane at a time, but why not?
I suppose.
Yeah. I believe Steve Buscemi was like a serial killer or something who was just
Yeah,
he was just on the plane being creepy.
He was the worst one in the entire bunch. Everyone was afraid of him.
Yeah, he's just smiling at everybody and like having pleasant conversation, and everyone was just kind of quietly terrified of him.
Yeah, that was. I really did enjoy that movie.
Yeah. Now we did a Nicolas Cage marathon in the server a while ago, and we were enjoying a lot of fun Cage movies, Vampires Kiss, etc.
The thing with Nicolas Cage that you got to remember is, and this just makes every movie for me with Nicolas Cage in it. He, in every single scene, no matter what emotion he puts forward, he looks like he's 2 seconds away from crying.
Yeah.
And I find that hilarious. It makes me laugh every time.
Well, yeah. So one of the things that I enjoy about Nicolas Cage is he's a Long Beach guy. He's from LA, and one thing he captures is this kind of trope of people in Los Angeles. We got two modes, okay? We got very calm, very quiet, everything's very chill. And then we have, I am going to fucking extract your eyeballs with a corkscrew. And there's nothing in between. It goes directly from chill to I'm murdering all your children. It's just like, right, just boom. And so Nicolas Cage, he does that in movies. You'll see that where like he's just doing this very chill kind of Nicolas Cage thing. And then his eyeballs start bugging out of his head and he starts acting like a complete fucking maniac. And there's nothing in between. Do you notice that? It just goes boom, boom, directly between the two like that. It's very volatile.
Yeah, you bring up a good point.
And it's a thing with people out here. So we're very, everything's okay. It's fine.
Until it's not.
Until it's not. And then you're all going to die.
Kind of on the topic of death. Not really, but
yeah.
Apparently,
this
Donald
is the,
Trump and the
topic,
First Lady, have been tested positive for the Wu flu.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I honestly think it'll go really well in his favor.
Yeah.
Because I think he's going to get the best treatment and whatnot and be completely fine. Because we've learned how to handle this virus so far. That's why you're not really seeing the deaths that you were seeing to begin with. Yep. And I'm pretty sure we're not even doing ventilators at all anymore.
Nope.
But you got these people who typically are unfavorable of Mr. Trump, President Trump, who think the coronavirus is the worst pandemic the planet has ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, he's got it now. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to recover from it pretty easily. And they're going to be like, holy shit, he's Iron Man.
Yeah.
This guy's invincible. He didn't die from this horrible disease.
I mean, like him and 99.999% of the population too. It's like.
Yeah, but tell that to the people that are freaking the fuck out like it's goddamn 50% mortality rate or something,
yeah. Well, yeah. So CDC's, I think we've talked about this last time. The CDC's own numbers, it's 6% of the deaths have no comorbidities, and they don't consider age to be a comorbidity. So, for example, you could be 95. If you die of the coronavirus, they're like, and there's no other comorbidities in this case. Like, not being 95 is not a comorbidity. What are you talking about? But the probability of death for people under 65, and keep in mind Trump is in his 70s, is extremely low. It's like 99.99% survival rate. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is.
It's yeah. I mean, what I really want to see, and we're not going to know this for a while, because I could speculate, but we're going to have to see the excess death or the excess mortality statistics. So what we already know is that U.S. excess mortality statistics are already at their normative values. So people are not dying at a rate in excess of what we would have expected 5 years ago.
I actually did
Right
not
now.
know that.
So we're already at that. The question then becomes, and this is going to be an interesting thing to look at the stats for, what we might expect is a dip in excess mortalities, or which would mean effectively you have fewer mortalities than you would expect. So, and what that would then suggest is that the people that died during coronavirus were people that were going to die like in 6 months or a year anyway.
Yeah.
And that will be borne out if the numbers dip below normative values. So, but if they just hold straight, then what that'll say is, yeah, those people died. And that was, but we're already at normative values in the United States. When they're talking about, 200,000 people and whatever, that has to be seen in the context of excess mortality. And it's certainly not at that level. We don't have 200,000 excess mortality kills. It's a lot lower than that. But it's going to take a couple years to get following year's stats to really have an idea of what happened.
I mean, I could have told you we didn't have 200,000 in excess.
Well,
because that's
I
just what they have. But that's what they have as the official number of deaths, and 94% of those, well, not even 94. I'd say probably 30% of those are bullshit.
Yeah.
And then the bulk of them are an average of 2.6 comorbidities.
Yeah.
But the one good thing that came out of all of this, at least I think it's probably a good thing, is Americans say the coronavirus has given them a newfound appreciation of nature.
Yeah, because nature kicked their ass.
Well, because a lot of them were locked up, and being forced into your home, it's like you can have something anytime you want, so you don't want it. But then the moment that you can't have it, you're like, oh my God, I want that right now.
Yeah.
I
don't know. There'll be a new season of Name the Television Show, and they'll be out there right back eating the Pringles.
Yeah, but for now, people are getting out more and appreciating nature more, and that's good. That's nice. I like that.
It's nice. It's nice. Time to
look at that. That would be a nice place to sit.
Exactly.
I'm guessing that's probably.
You know what? That's a great
Colorado-ish area.
You could watch Cuties on your cell phone right there. What do you think?
Coming out of left field.
Just sit down, turn on some Cuties.
And then choose to just jump into the water and not come back up.
Oh boy.
No, but that'd be a really great spot to fish from, it looks like.
Yeah. No, it is beautiful.
I haven't done that in years. Maybe we should get back into that. So
it's hard to not enjoy it. You go out there with a cooler with some beer, and even if you don't catch anything, you still enjoyed some time outside, didn't you? You know?
Yeah, my grandpa was actually quoted. My dad asked him, "Grandpa, why do you like fish?" Or Dad, why do you like fishing so much?
Huh?
He said, "The good Lord only gives you so many moments on this planet. He doesn't count the moments you spend fishing."
Boom. Very nice.
And I mean, in a way, he's not wrong because it's relaxing and it's peaceful and kind of a real Zen thing, you know?
Well, it's hard to feel bad about the time spent out in the wild murdering fish. Tricking fish with tasty bait. Trolling for fish, really. Trolling.
Trolling for fish. I'm gonna start attaching memes to hooks.
Yeah. That's actually amazing. Has anyone made a Pepe lure? That's a great idea.
You've got me wondering now.
See, that should be a thing. Why don't we have a Pepe lure? See, I have so many.
Mean, this is the closest I'm seeing to one.
No.
Yeah, I know. That's not Pepe.
Frog. That's a frog.
That's a frog. Yes, Pepe is a frog, though, so it's the closest I'm seeing.
That's not a meme frog. I mean, he kind of looks like there's that boy or there's my boy frog, but
yeah, boy.
Not quite, because that thing looks a little more. The correct one for that looks a little more Kermity. So that's not really a Kermit frog.
But that was a quick precursory image search.
Not dogging on you, man, for not having the Pepe frog lure. But
I don't feel like a Pepe frog.
By the way, didn't we have didn't the NPC Daily people weren't they? Didn't we have one of those people that was watching the stream? Was it one of the 3 people that watched this thing?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We need to, for free, give them the idea of selling Pepe frog lures on their, because they've got a merch portion of their website, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Is Pepe trademarked?
No. I don't think.
So
I know the original artist killed Pepe off in the comic.
Yeah, he's been getting a little thirsty. He's like, oh, this fucking frog that I drew became more popular than me. Damn it. He tried to go out there and shackle Pepe. Get back on the plantation, Pepe. No. Pepe's wild. Pepe. If you love Pepe, you have to let him be free.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
But no, I mean, that's a good merch idea. Someone should do this. I'm not asking for money. I just want it to exist in the world.
I feel like she's in your Discord, but I could be wrong. No, she's not.
She needs contact her and inform her that her organization needs to start selling Pepe the Frog fish lures. They can contact a bait and tackle company and get a bunch of custom fish lures made that have the image of Pepe the Frog kind of on the side of it, and I think people would buy those.
I got a plug-in for Discord, and I just sent it right now because if I didn't send it now, I'd forget.
No, I understand. I'm the same way.
I got a plug-in for Discord, and I wrote Pepe the Frog fish lures, and it replaced the word Pepe with Pepe.
Oh my!
I like that. So I think it's a good spot to end here on this really nice image where to go right there. Yeah.
It's a good place to watch cuties right there. That's good. And we've got a merch idea for people to make money. So that's good.
We will not be doing next week unless Will decides to do it on his own.
Well, I probably won't do it unless somebody wants to come
no.
me.
Next week will be fine. It's the week after.
All right.
I got my shit mixed up. So
I don't know.
Starting next week, it's going to be bi-weekly until November.
Okay.
Because on the 16th, I got Army shit the next day, and then on the 30th, my annual party.
Amazing. Well, your service is appreciated, sir.
So, we still haven't come up with an end phrase or a sign off. So
Is that a thing?
what?
We could let's go with what Al Gore used. Excelsior. There you go.
Man, bear, pig.
Yeah.
I guess go out into the world, be good to each other.
There. Yeah. Be excellent.